Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another special edition here on the Four Seasons Fire American Soccer Show, the National Premier Soccer League show, as we discuss with you today a big topic in the NPSL. I was surprised when I got this news from the league, and boy, oh boy, this is something be honest, I wasn't expecting to hear. They are going to now open a secondary league, the regional league, in the National Premier Soccer League. Now, apparently, what this league will be another tier within themselves, within the National Premier Soccer League, because once again, they will be recognized by the U.S. Adult Soccer Association as the Tier 1 National League in American soccer under U.S. soccer. So once again, this will be, I believe, now I can be incorrect here, but still though, a new league that will be operating year long. Excuse me. Sorry about that. They will be opening and operating year long. As you know, the National Premier Soccer League goes from spring till the back end of the summer. But some clubs will continue on if they wish to participate in U.S. Open Cup qualifiers if they are not designated through the invitational procedures from U.S. Soccer. If, of course, they win the NPSL championship, if there are other clubs that are going to be a part of the national tracking for Open Cup qualification. And let's also not forget El Farolito also joining because they did perform going through the furthest in the amateur level of American soccer to be joined by the Open Cup for the Open Cup again. And of course, let's also not forget Westchester United in Pennsylvania also qualified for the Open Cup due to them winning the U.S. Adult Soccer Association Championship. So once again, we already have our 6 NPSL clubs that have qualified for the Open Cup. And once again, we have Hickory FC as the NPSL Cup champions. We also have Flower City Union out of Rochester, New York. We have the Michigan Rangers. And we have Ristosi FC because of the loss by El Farolito in the NPSL Cup Championship. And once again, they've already qualified for the Open Cup through the John Mata Cup as the amateur side that has gone the furthest in the Open Cup of this current tournament that will finish up on Wednesday, October 1st, as Nashville SC will be facing Austin FC over at the Q2 Stadium in Austin, Texas. And that will be seen on CBS Sports Network and streaming on Paramount Plus. Once again, on Wednesday, October the 1st. So buckle up, get ready. Should be a lot of fun for that one. But once again, for the NPSL, this is something that I never thought that I would see. And once again, this will assist clubs to be playing year-round. Now, once again, in the amateur levels, the Cosmopolitan League in the New York, New Jersey, Southern Connecticut area, and I also believe maybe some parts of Pennsylvania, but I could be wrong. We'll double-check that. But once again, those are these amateur leagues that have a fall season and a spring or summer season. And that, my friends, is what we are all looking to see what this will do. Now, I believe the NPSL has done a very good job in getting this situation done correctly. Because once again, there are many clubs out there that probably want to be involved in a formation or in a setup that they believe that is in line with their values of what they want to be in a league. Now, don't get me wrong. There's plenty of leagues around. Of course, USL League 2, and what goes on in the amateur leagues below, NPSL, and of course, being in UPSL, USL League Two, obviously. But for some clubs, they want to be the National Premier Soccer League. And for them, this is an opportunity. If they are not considered for the top league, well, now we have the regional leagues. And so far, it's off to a good start, I think, with this announcement. It's wonderful to see. And that means more discussion for you. If you are a fan, a supporter of the National Premier Soccer League, well, ladies and gentlemen, this is what it is. This is what we're looking for. We are looking to see what will happen now as things move forward for next season. Maybe it'll start this upcoming fall. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe into the winter. But, one thing is pretty clear is that this brand new regional league, it's a good start. Now, obviously, other things have to come together, and hopefully there won't be any bumps or bruises. We'll see what happens. But right now, it's a good start. And there's going to be a bunch of good people to talk about this. But one thing I can definitely say is this. This is going to start off, and it's coming from, once again, this is the press release that I got from it. The National Premier Soccer League, the first and only men's league designated by U.S. Adult Soccer Association as a Tier 1 national league, is proud to announce that their regional league platform is launching nationwide. This was achieved through a strategic partnership with the Great Lakes Alliance. Now, to have that come together with all of these smaller amateur leagues across the country, I think it's fantastic. And once again, everyone comes together. Now, obviously, it's going to have a slow start, but I believe if this does well, and if this does grow the right way, this can be better. It can be bigger. So we'll see what the situations will come up with. But I will say this. But all I can tell you is that right now, I think this is a great, great thing to see happen. We want to see at least not just what goes on in MLS, not just what goes on in USL, but to see something unified in the amateur levels of American soccer. This, my friends, I think is definitely going to be something special when we get ready to move forward and we get ready to watch something grow. Now, there may be some growing pains. We'll have to wait and see. If we show some patience and we take our time, without a doubt, I believe this can be doable. And this probably might solve several problems that we have seen with American soccer in the past, and hopefully get rid of those issues so that everything can remain the way it is, or at least to improve itself and become stronger and better. And that's all what we really want, ladies and gentlemen. We want this game to be strong, to improve, and to continue evolving into what it should be. So that is my hope. That is what I'm hoping will be achieved here. And this is what the NPSL, I'm hoping, can do and improve themselves and be a little bit more stronger than normal. But once again, we're rooting for the game in all of its facets. Because if we don't have the grassroots, and then we move up to the amateur level, then the professional level, then we're all going to be running around like chickens with their heads cut off. And we cannot have that. We cannot have that. So no matter what I say, You know, we have to do it. Saying it is one thing, doing it is something else. But once it gets done, then we are in a great place. And that's what I want to see. To have this sport equaling to what goes on around the world. Now, granted, we'll probably do some things a little different, but until we get there as one entire unit and we're all on the same page, we cannot be stopped. So that is why I'm so happy and I am very thrilled to talk about this tonight. This wonderful movement and this wonderful achievement from the National Premier Soccer League to put themselves on the front foot to continue to expand. And now it's not going to be just one league, it's going to be two leagues. And the regional leagues are here to help out those players in their communities, in their regions, to improve the game and to make it stronger and better. And that's all that we want to hope for. That's all we want to see achieve. Improvement, better play, improvement in play, and to give those clubs an opportunity to be in a possible better setting. That's all we want. Put the game in a better position and in a better setting. But once again, we're going to have to see how this whole thing will work, and we're going to find out about that very, very soon. But let me go ahead now because I'm going to introduce my first guest tonight. Now, originally, I was supposed to have Mr. Ed Bernstein on with us tonight, but unfortunately, he could not make it. I guess a certain event had to come his way, but that's okay. Joining me for the first half hour will be a Mr. Jason Brown, who is also part of the new NPSL Regional League. Jason, welcome to the show. Good evening. And how are you, sir?
Oh, Daniel, thank you. And I appreciate the invitation. And I want to send a warm greeting from Ed first. We just had some schedule overlaps, and he's actually on his way to Dayton for an event today. So hopefully in the future shows, we can have him with us as well.
Absolutely.
Um, Doing great. Doing great. Been traveling a little bit. So if you can deal with the jet lag to me, I think we'll be all right today.
I think we can handle that. That's not a problem.
Awesome.
Just make sure you didn't overload on the pretzels and the Doritos, okay?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But no,
Anyway,
I think we can get it pretty good here.
no, good. I'm glad to hear that. Anyway, who brought up the idea to have this regional league join the National Premier Soccer League now as a, I wouldn't say a separate entity, but just a next level for the league itself?
I, it's an organic conversation. Let's backtrack the timeline a little bit and just kind of start from the beginning. And it was a collaborative effort to kind of talk about the state of the game a little bit, and then those conversations went, well, as you mentioned, how can we improve it a little bit further, and how can we move the needle a little bit further? And out of that, the concept of the NPSL creating this new platform alongside us with the GLA to provide more accessible opportunities for like local networks that want to move into that national aspiration. Um, and that's been occurring all the way up until we made the announcement. And I think that's the exciting thing, that's taking that local pathway all the way up to the national platform and having realistic conversations of how do we make this work? How do we start to launch in this direction? I think if you look at the NPSL, over the last 20 years, one of the things you notice is that it's a higher standard all the way across the board. But unfortunately, that always ended in the summer, right? So you had this great opportunity for the summer months for the college kids, the aspiring professionals, and that access stopped once they went back to school. What the regional league platform provides for is a continued pathway. It allows the NPSL teams to stay together. It allows those college kids to have somewhere to come back to. And again, it allows for those local communities to have access into that platform. And that's really where we're at. We're just creating that extension of making a full year-round opportunity for those that have those national aspirations, but may not be ready for it yet. They want to learn that pathway and grow.
Now, if I can ask you this, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is there an opportunity for some of these clubs in the regional league? I will say the words promotion relegation, but will there be some sort of form of it if they say win a certain trophy? Does that elevate them to the national NPSL, or will they just remain in the regional league?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, for us to get to that point of promotion and relegation, we're not there yet, as a lot of leagues aren't. I think what we're at is we're an incubator. We're going to take the next step of allowing those type of clubs to have year-round opportunity to play. And then as they compete and as they merit those opportunities, then we start talking about what does it look like to move up into tier one. Accessible is a lot of different terms. The investment of being a national tier team is a lot more than being in a regional league opportunity. So what we want to see happen is having teams graduate through this matrix of what we call the grassroots local regional into a premier regional opportunity with the NPSL RL, and then see them grow into a tier one opportunity. How that works in terms of a promotion relegation or as the top tiers start to align, that's where we let membership decide. We start having those conversations as a collective body. It's not a board, it's not a corporate sponsor, it's not those things. It's the people that are putting the product on the field having a collective conversation to move that ball forward.
As you said before, the conundrum that's been going around, obviously, when it comes to the NPSL, and of course, obviously, other leagues that do have college players on their rosters.
Mm-hmm.
How much has that been an interference for the NPSL so that you were able to create this regional league? And at the same time, could there be a future partnership with the NCAA to talk about how their players, once they're in school, to join forces and say, well, if we have them play our games on these dates, we'll let you have them on those dates, or of some sort, if I'm giving an example.
Yeah, I always welcome having ideas at 30,000 feet and looking down on them and going, man, that looks pretty. Let's land there and see what happens. I think those are conversations that are born out of opportunity. That's kind of how we got to where we are today. We had conversations and then we realized that this is something that we can actually move forward. There's interest, there's opportunity for the players to stay involved. When we speak specifically for the collegiate game, their calendar is ever evolving. The NCAA and the governing bodies, they change it all the time. To walk alongside that now with a year-long opportunity, we're starting to talk to part of the audience that may be able to take place in it as they move through their year. How that looks right now, our NPSL membership, we have teams that are interested. It's one of those things that we're now creating that year-long pathway for them to stay active that wasn't there. It's educating what this opportunity will be, how it will move forward. And it's the conversations with the membership that are going to help make that more available, more accessible, and more real for them to be a part of. A lot of the other opportunities that are out there are just places to play without a growth ladder. What we're doing at this point is we're providing a growth ladder. It's not just going to be a temporary summer opportunity. It's going to be a year-long active membership. And now we're going to figure out, like you said early on, there'll be bumps along the way. Nothing's perfect. So that's where we really are going to rely on conversation and collaboration and moving that ball forward.
Now, let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a suggestion, obviously. I don't know if it's been talked about within the regional league offices or not. But in the past, long time ago, we have seen schools like BYU, Brigham Young University. They've allowed a soccer team not to be involved in college soccer in the NCAA, but they have been in the past involved with the United Soccer Leagues, with their League Two, or back then the Premier Development League.
Yeah.
Is there an opportunity for any of the collegiate schools to allow their college soccer men's teams. It could be first division, it could be the second division, the third division, whichever school wants to be a part of it.
Mhm.
Could you allow them to join in the future if they want to have be part of the spring season, shall we say?
So I just want clarifying. You're talking about their club atmosphere, correct? Like
Correct.
the club team. So yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. That's an opportunity that we could be more than happy to talk about. They're not governed by the NCAA restrictions or anything like that in terms of like coaching and alignments, and we would welcome it. We would definitely love to have those conversations along the way, and if it makes sense for those types of programs to be a part of what we're doing, we welcome them.
Mhm. Now, what region that you're going to be? I mean, I know the Great Lakes Alliance is a part of it. Are there
Mhm.
any other soccer entities, league entities in the amateur levels that have also joined in right away with the new regional league?
So our first priority really is to walk alongside the NPSL membership that want to be active year round. So right now we're cultivating those conversations, and then when we went national with the announcement, the messages have been coming nonstop. So I mean, what we're kind of doing right now between Ed and myself is and Cindy as well is kind of just looking at where the gaps in the map are filling in, and then we're going to sit back and see what makes geographical sense and have conversations with those groups and move it forward. Like we said, this is about doing something that will take time, not just let's throw something out on the map and say this is what it is. I think we're in it for the long play, not the quick Instagram hit of like, oh, this team's in, that team's in, this team's in. We want to make sure it's a unified and collective effort. So I mean, we've had strong presence in the South already, the Northeast, Midwest, Central Plains. We've had quite a few teams, and then also out west we've had small pockets that are starting to develop as well. So, I mean, as you know, with the NPSL, their calendar for play is much different. They allow the flexibility, which with the NPSL RL, we're going to be flexible as well in terms of what we allow for play dates. So, I mean, January 1, we are open for the spring season to start for those teams that are ready to get going. And we also will allow for flexibility for those that have the opportunity to play in the wintertime a little bit more too. And we're going to be talking more about that down the road too.
Absolutely. I just want to read the quote here from NPSL Managing Director Cindy Spira. And she says that this announcement is all about working together to grow the game. This product is available to any amateur men's team in the country that wishes to apply to compete under the NPSL brand. The regional league the regional league offers more flexible standards compared to the existing NPSL Tier 1 product while
Mhm.
keeping the core values of the NPSL brand, high service levels, uh, defined minimum standards, and a professionally run front office. And that is absolutely fantastic to hear. Um, Once again, did this just come quickly, or did it take the time to make sure hammering out all of the information and the details once you finally announced it this past Tuesday?
Oh, I answered this the other day with it's kind of like Christmas Day, right? You buy a gift for somebody and you just kind of waiting for that day to be able to announce it. And I mean, the conversations that went in and the work by all parties just to kind of talk through from 30,000 feet down to ground level in the announcement has been paramount. I mean, it's been almost a year of conversations in total. Like I said, from idea to putting it out in public view. So um, you know, we are very excited to see what's going to happen and where things are going to go. When I look at the landscape, there are a lot of regional opportunities out there that do things very well. But like what we talk about is that a lot of them are primarily like a U23 showcase or a seasonal opportunity. And there's just really no connection to a continued active calendar for growth. And the NPSL makes sense. It operates at a higher level of standard. It's a tier one opportunity that continues to evolve, and we want to walk alongside that to help cultivate their growth more, to create that culture at the regional level, and see where it takes us as an overall soccer body in America.
No, absolutely. And I'll tell you right now, I'm excited to see this. I really want to see this happen. This should be interesting to watch. and hopefully everything will fall into place, and we'll see what happens. About yourself, you're the managing director of the ECNL, which of course is the Elite Clubs National League. Talk about that league for a moment, and what you've done to make them recognizable as a strong league for some of these clubs that want to be a part of your league, and of course now hopefully moving into the new NPSL RL.
So it's the OVPL. So the ECNL is more for that's the youth alignment. So I just want to make sure for those listening out in the football world that we're getting our acronyms straight and everything. Everybody's always about the alphabet soup. So it's always like you got the ECNLs and the everything. So the last 6 years has been, working alongside Ed and a collaboration of sources for the OVPL. And that idea itself was born out of conversation almost a decade in the work. We noticed that there was a gap for players that were at that 18, 19-year-old youth club environment, and it stopped. Not everybody is going to be a, USL or an NPSL caliber player right off the bat. And those opportunities were in major markets. So it's different to have that expectation. So where we saw an opportunity was to walk alongside what we called the local amateur club scene that was developing in the Ohio Valley region and the youth club scene through US Club Soccer, and educate them on taking those 18 and 19-year-olds and putting them in a U23 plus opportunity, allowing them a legacy team to come home to and play on, or a team that's going to prepare them to get ready for college in the fall. And that's worked well. It's organically grown over the last 6 years to incorporate between 34 to 42 teams in the Ohio Valley between men and women. And that's really a lot of the conversation we've had with the NPSL of like what it looks like for organic growth through the game. And that's what, as the GLA, we've done very well with the adult side by having an opportunity like the OVPL to kind of showcase that there is opportunity, there is that desire for connectivity. But what has been missing is that accessible pathway. Like, what does it look like to go from the regional amateur aspect to a premier regional aspect to then a pathway to a tier one national level opportunity? And that's really what this is highlighting, is the NPSL RL is fitting in right in above that as that middle tier.
That's great to hear. Now, from my own curiosity, obviously the National Premier Soccer League, their tier one league, they do have positions to qualify now for the U.S. Open Cup through U.S. Soccer. And of course, now some of these clubs are going to go through qualifying for the Open Cup in the 4 rounds of amateur qualification. Will you also have the ability, any clubs within the NPSL Regional League, will you also have the opportunity to qualify for the Open Cup? And is that a possibility?
Yes, they will have the opportunity to do the qualifying rounds just like they are occurring right now. So one of the things about all of these regional opportunities for the men specifically is to make sure that they are Open Cup eligible. That's the carrot to dangle in front of any team that wants to be called the quote unquote national champion. That's the one true championship. So with that in mind, yes, the structure will always be in place to make sure that teams that are a part of the NPSL RL can be part of the qualifying round process. In terms of automatic bids, that's still going to be a national, tier one opportunity, and that's the allure to grow, right? You move into the national league opportunities, those automatic bids become more plausible and working towards it. So again, it's another step in the growth process of going, hey, can we play in the Open Cup or the Region Cups and things like that, and learning how to manage those qualifying schedules and building rosters that are competitive to take on those needs, and then educating them on that next piece of moving into a league that has the caliber to have automatic qualifying bids.
That's great to hear. And I'm very happy at least the qualifying rounds, all 4 of them are available for some of these clubs going into the NPSL Regional League. How many clubs are going to start in this upcoming January? And is it a big number?
Ooh, that's also the next question I always get is who and how many. Right now, I would say, our interest has grown tremendously over the last, I would say, 96 hours. So, I mean, in terms of what the numbers will be, I don't have a final count for it because, again, we want to make sure it makes sense geographically. So what I'm going to kind of do over the next couple of days is see where all the points land on the map, see what makes sense travel wise for these teams, and then we'll go to work and start mapping it out for that scenario for the spring. Um, just within the regions alone, though, I see, it's very confident having a couple of solid regions right off the bat in spring. We were more focused, to be very transparent, on a summer opportunity, but NPSL membership and, you know, all good things sometimes get leaked out a little bit. We had others starting to ask, and we've moved the timeline up a little. So that's why we're saying January 1, we're ready for spring. We're ready to go now. And we also know teams that are interested in that spring season may have other commitments going at the moment. So we want to make sure that we're allowing them to honor that as well before we move forward.
If I can ask you this, as you said, as soon as you announced this new
Mhm.
venture with the National Premier Soccer League, how quickly were your phones ringing and were your text messages blowing up very fast?
Fortunately, my phone number was released at the same time, so it was kind of hand in hand. Um, I would say I started getting messages within about the first 15 seconds of the announcement. Not to
Wow.
say that I was watching just to see how quick it would happen, but notifications on the phone start going off. A lot of text messages, a lot of people that had questions about like, "Hey, this is something new, and we haven't heard much about it." And I was like, "Well, we'll talk more about it in the next couple of days, over the next few days." We are going to be setting up some informational meetings across the board too, with specific regions, with those thicker pockets of teams that are already ready to go with this initiative, and that's something to look forward to. So for those that are listening, those are the messages that are going to be coming out, and having just region specific conversations and figuring out, what does this look like for you? This is kind of what we see in terms of the competition schedule for the minimum aspect of it for the spring, and let's get going. Let's play the game. And, I'm ready for the first match to kick off. That's where I'm at. But I know we still have some legwork in between there to see that happen. So it's September. For right now, it's September 19th. When it's January 1, I'm going to be even more excited too. So.
No, it's going to be great. I can't wait for this to happen. If I can ask, I don't know if you've kept count of which region in the country you got phone calls from. Was it New York State? Was it in
Oh,
Florida, Texas, California? Maybe even, Montana gave a call. Someone in Montana wants to be involved. What was the number count from the different states of these clubs
oh,
calling from?
I mean, very well represented in the Northeast. So Massachusetts, New York, Delaware, Pennsylvania, out of the South, Mid South, Tennessee, Georgia, South Carolina, Florida, Mississippi, Texas, Kansas. Let's see. I know I have Washington, Oregon, California, Arizona, uh, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Indiana, Michigan, Illinois. I mean, it's a very large swath of teams that have already started to come out there. And I mean, I know there's quite a few more states. Those are the ones that I can remember off the top of my head. So I'm very excited about it. Needless to say, it's all about making, again, geographical sense too. We're not going to have somebody in Mississippi running up Tennessee. That's the national opportunities. That's not the regional opportunities. So we want to make sure, again, we're creating an acceptable platform for these guys to jump into, and then hope we nurture that growth along the way.
And that's the hope. You want to grow it, you want to nurture it, you want to make it to something special and that everyone
Mhm.
can enjoy. Because obviously, look, there are some clubs that are meant to be, I guess, in the professional level, and there are some clubs that are meant to be at the amateur level, which is fine. I don't judge. I just want the sport in this country to matter to all of us, no matter what level it is. Don't you agree?
Absolutely. Again, I talk about where we were, and like I said, these conversations aren't just a year. The concept of what we've got to today has been born of conversations of, we want to see more teams in the Open Cup on the men's side. So like our region, where I come from, is very underrepresented. Um, Previously, now you're seeing a lot of teams in various leagues too, start to jump onto the culture. So it's one of those things that we want to see that growth continue, but we want to see it done in a unified manner. So that way, we get these communities on board. We see the rivalry start. We see real conversation that lasts and builds up into something that is meaningful for everybody that's a part of it, from fan culture to supporter culture, all of those things that we want to see grow.
Now, obviously, we're going to go with a regional setup like always,
Mhm.
but will it also be a conference setup as well, just like the NPSL Tier 1 league, or will it be maybe more divisions than it is conferences?
I, you're I'm a logistics and operations minded kind of person. So right now, if you look at the grand scheme of things, MPSL is set up into 4 regions already, just kind of like US soccer and all of that. I would say initially we're going to look at the regional aspect, and then as conferences and saturation of clubs start happening, we'll see a conference breakout, and then as those conferences saturate, we'll see a divisional breakout, and then maybe we can move to some of those more exciting conversations of moving up and down, divisions and conferences and things like that, and start creating that culture. We're not there yet, but when we get there, it's going to be exciting too.
Have you been in touch, or has anyone called you from some of these historical clubs in the amateur levels, like maybe Milwaukee Bavarians or maybe Christos FC, who had a great run in the Open Cup a couple of years ago? Any of those historical amateur clubs, have they've called in to inquire about your regional league?
We've had a few of the what I would consider, so for me, historical clubs are ones that are very active in the culture and things like that. So I mean, in terms of reaching out, we've had a couple of prospects share their interest in what's going on and happening. And like I said, current MPSL membership has opportunity to be a part of this as well as we move into an active calendar. So we do have quite a few that I would say have storied and active past in the football landscape. So it's again another thing I'm really excited about, hopefully creating a landing pad for more to be a part of.
No, that's great to hear. And hopefully you will get more and everything's moving on. Now, obviously, as we've already talked about with the Open Cup situation, just your thoughts on the Open Cup, if you don't mind. What type of change would you like to see with the Open Cup? And at the same time, with how many positions do you believe your regional league should acquire per one, like Northeast region, South region, Central region, West region? What for your regional league situation? How many positions would you like to see them have?
I think from an NPSL RL perspective, from a guaranteed spot, I think it would be unique offering to see 1 to 2 spots available per region be an automatic qualifier. Not this year or whatever, but like, down the road. But I also welcome that for other opportunities that are out there as well. Like I said, there are a lot of people that have done great things with the game in macro levels across the US. And I think sometimes those get thwarted, and that's sometimes that can cause a pause in the culture, right? If it's not having an opportunity to access. And I think one of the big things that we're here for is having accessible opportunities for all communities. So whether you're a big market, 5 million person town, or whether you're just a small town of like, 40 to 50,000, like I use Hickory FC as an example. Like a couple of years ago, they wouldn't be in the position they're in now with such a great supporter culture and things like that without that investment of like the game itself and having the access of what they've seen through the NPSL. And what we want to see out of the NPSL RL is to grow that access and grow that collective effort across the landscape. And with that, we want to see the tournaments grow too. It's not just the US Open Cup, but there's regional opportunities too through USASA that would be a welcoming starting grid too, of like these are automatic bursts and things like that. So, you know, are those conversations to happen down the road? We'll see. Are there
Yeah.
promises? Never make them. But it's one of those things. But I mean, yeah, I think as things grow and things improve, I hope those conversations are a part of that growth as well.
And as you've already said, the announcement is out. Your phone's been ringing off the hook. Your text messages are blowing up. Everyone
Mhm.
wants to be a part of it. Now that the fast part has come, has it started slowing down a little bit? Have you gotten your bearings to, like you said, you want to see what's going to happen here before you start January 1st in the spring? Where has the slowness now come? Has the calmness come in to get you guys ready now to move forward and put your feet together and just, hammer this out?
Yeah, it's pretty methodical at the end of the day, right? We're not reinventing the wheel. The game has been around for a long time. I think what we're trying to do is make sure that we have the logical steps in place. Right now it's a lot of education and information for those that are interested and want to be part of something like this that makes sense for their club. So is it slowing down in some regard? Yes, because now we can talk about it. So that's the fun part. Is it fast still? Absolutely, because we want to make sure that we're talking to everybody that we can that's interested. And I think once we get to January, that's going to be a cadence right there. And then once we get to the summer, that's another cadence. And then I think what's really exciting is then we're going to talk 26, 27 before you know it. And then we're talking a true first year of active play at a regional league level. So that's the exciting part of when I look at what the calendar for like the next 12 to 18 months looks like.
Absolutely. And for some of these clubs that are wondering if hopefully they're watching tonight to hear you talk about the new regional league, excuse me. What message would you like to send some of these clubs that maybe they didn't call you, didn't contact you, but watching you right now, what would you like to say to those clubs that wants to be a part of this?
Well, I mean, for me, it's really easy. The NPSL RL is just an authentic, growth oriented platform for communities to step into an accessible pathway. I think a lot of times people are afraid to take the leap because of either finance or location or things like that. And this is a way for us to give those communities and clubs a connected pathway to grow and actually fall into the aspirations of being a national tier program down the road.
Absolutely. Well, I gotta say this, Jason. I'm really excited for this project. I really am hoping everything goes smoothly with it. Like you said, you're going to start this January 1st of next season.
Mhm.
It's going to be exciting. And now, of course, with the World Cup coming
Mhm.
next summer in June of 2026, I guess will the spring season have a certain end and before the fall starts? How long will the seasons be per month?
So what we're looking at right now is a tentative calendar. Like I said, nothing is super set in stone because it is membership and geographically, specific. So some may kick off earlier and blend in. January 1st to April 30th is kind of that spring, timeline that we see. May 1st to July 31st will be that summer platform because for those kids that are in college, they start heading back at the end. And then from August 1 to December 31st, we would look again to roll out fall. Kind of just segmenting the calendar a little bit easier for everybody. But like I said, we're going to be very open to what membership wants to do, what regions can do. The United States has a lot of different and fun weather to contend with, so we want to make sure that we're doing all of the best decisions for those that are in their areas and playing.
Absolutely. And I'm just excited to see this happen. I really cannot wait to see what the new regional league will do. Just, when you get the opportunity just to come back on the show, let us know how things have gone this upcoming January till April 30th. And,
Mhm.
give us an update whenever you can, because I would love to hear the positives. And look, if there are some negatives, I'd love to hear about that too, because obviously, like you said, there will be some bumps and bruises. And hopefully, just, you get a chance to right those issues. Everything should be running smoothly, right?
Right. I mean, like you said, everything takes a little bit of time. If it's worth doing, it's worth doing right. So I mean, we're going to figure out things that we need to work on and make better. Those are called opportunities. I don't look at them as problems. So, and I look forward to being on again. If you're in Philadelphia, we'll be in Philadelphia too for the United Soccer Coaches Convention. So, I mean, would welcome conversation on Podcast Row if you're there, and we can continue the chat.
All right. Well, listen, thank you very much, Jason, for your time. I truly do appreciate it. Good luck with the new regional league coming up soon. And look, just keep on doing what you're doing. And thank you for your time once again. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, Daniel. Thank you, and we appreciate it.
All right. That's Jason Brown from the National Premier Soccer League's new regional league joining us tonight to talk about the new edition in the NPSL. It's exciting. It's a lot of fun and very happy to share it with all of you. Now we're going to go ahead to our next guest. This gentleman is the head coach of American Soccer Club out in Long Island, New York. The head coach, Mr. John Fitzgerald, joining me tonight. John, good evening, and how are you, sir?
Hi, Daniel. How are you? Good
Doing
to
all
see you.
right?
Thanks for
How's
having me on.
things?
Good.
No, it's great
I
to
like
have
the
you on.
shirt.
Well, I'm from the Bronx, so gotta rep, gotta rep, gotta
Good
rep.
man.
You
Good
know
man.
that.
New York is New York, no matter what
That's
sport you're in.
right. Exactly. So, first year in the National Premier Soccer League, how did it go for you in your season so far in your inaugural year?
Yeah. So it was. Listen, it was exciting from start to finish. We've got some great backing behind us. The ownership group is tremendous. Myself, it's actually not my first year. It's my third year because I was with the New York Cosmos and we had Cosmos B. Very proud to say we won the 2015 national championship in NPSL, which was awesome in front of 18,000 fans down in Chattanooga. So I was very happy to get back involved with it. But yeah, this group here for us as a club, this is our inaugural year, as you said. Sorry. But yeah, we're excited about it. Like I said, great backing. Jimmy Kilmeade, our GM, Kevin Reardon, his managing partner. They're 100% behind it. True Long Island soccer guys, and they really want to be Long Island front and center for this. So it's exciting.
Now, I don't have to say this because I know not just Long Island, the Bronx, Queens, Brooklyn, Manhattan, even Staten Island. There's tons of players that play this game, no matter where it is. I mean, it could be near the next Long Island Railroad station. It could be somewhere by the subway. It could even be on Roosevelt Island. But how many people, when they found out about your club, how many signups did you have?
We had over 100 players actually come down to open tryouts, and we did our own work. I've got a great coaching staff, very involved. Juan Palacio, former professional player out of Colombia, but has been on Long Island a long time, was with me at the New York Cosmos. Vic Muntian is our goalkeeper coach. He's been with me in ODP in the regional level, and I was with the Long Island Rough Riders. So we've been together a long time. We've brought in a young coach, Ben Koch. He's a terrific young connection for the younger players on Long Island. So between us, Jimmy Kilmeade, the rest of our coaching staff, we've got support staff. Bob Montgomery, who was with the New York Red Bulls forever. He was a longtime Adelphi University coach. He was with New York Red Bulls. He's on our staff. Mark Lugris, former professional player. He's here on Long Island. So they brought in, I don't know, between all of us, I should say, we probably brought in 3/4 of that, and then the rest were open tryouts. So we had over 100 players. I got to tell you, Daniel, it was a daunting task because we were in the freezing cold in January. Once they told us green light, go, we jumped into it, and we had 3 tryouts, and we had to do it during the cold winter months because we wanted to have our team set for the spring. So yeah, it was great. The turnout was fantastic. Obviously, you can't take everybody, and we also have to figure out who's available during those summer months as well, because that's when the main season is, as you know.
No, absolutely. Talk about your conference that you were involved with. I mean, Hartford City, also inaugural team as well, New Haven United, the New York Shockers up in Albany, Schenectady area, and Osners in Queens. How daunting was this conference, and what did you learn playing against these clubs?
Yeah, they were very good, very organized. I've said when people ask me about the league itself, because I was in USL for a couple of years, and I said, look, the NPSL and USL2 the same level. It's the fourth level in the pyramid of U.S. soccer, and the main difference is the ownership behind you. So this ownership is fantastic. Now, those other teams, I had not been in NPSL for several years. When we were with the Cosmos, obviously we had great backing. We had the first team playing in NASL. A great coach, Gio Savarese, was very supportive of us. A New York guy also. So we had a lot of backing. So I didn't know what to expect. And to your point, it was better than I had expected, which I'm glad, because that just gives more credibility to the league. And Osners is local. Osners is the most local team for us. They're Brooklyn, and they're new. They were new into this level as well, right? But they had lower level teams at the time, so they had some structure to build from. The 2 Connecticut teams, Hartford, and New Haven, I thought was super organized. They did a really good job. Again, better than I had even expected, which I'm glad, because I think that's good for the league. And Albany is Albany. Afram's up there, has a great facility. He's been involved. He himself was a pro player. He's been involved with the game a long time. I kind of expected them to be what they were. So I was very happy to see that. At the same token, that tells us, like, we thought we were very good too, but it kind of put us, as a bit of an awakening for our first time in. So gives us an idea of what we've got to work with and work against for next season.
Exactly. And did you do well in this season, or you had your bumps and bruises?
Yeah, as a coach, I'm going to say not as well as I would have hoped.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, as time passes, you start to look back, and the positives kind of come out. When the wound is still fresh, you don't feel those positives as much, but the positives really started to come out as time passed. Again, the notoriety that the club received, and the amount of people who are now telling us they want to still be part of this going forward, they want to join us, is just, it's awesome. It's terrific. Better than I had even expected. But that's also because of what we have behind us. They had us playing at Hofstra Soccer Stadium, which is one of the premier soccer venues on Long Island. And so if you have to go with a college, we have a couple of them, but that one itself, have you been to it?
I have. I've been to Hofstra a long, long time ago,
Okay.
so I know the area very well. Nassau Coliseum, obviously,
Right.
the Marriott in the background. I think
Yep.
LIU's over there as well.
Yep. Well, Long Island University is a little bit further down the road, but
Yep.
Hofstra, the soccer stadium itself, not the big stadium like
Right.
we used to play with the Cosmos, but the soccer stadium is cozy and small enough that if you get 500-600 people there, it feels like it's packed. And our club brought in more than that each time, so it really was a great atmosphere. So I think that lends to what we have to offer too. And again, that's a credit to our ownership, because that's money, and they were willing to put that into it because they wanted to give that professional experience. And because of that, we attracted a lot of local players as well as some guys from the outside. So
No, that's fantastic. No offense to Hofstra, obviously, it's a great place to have your home games there. Have you heard any, ideas maybe down the road your ownership may build your own stadium at all?
yes, so that's I say yes. I've heard it. I am totally on the soccer side. I'm not the money guy, which is also very nice that they let me do that and they don't interfere with that. But they obviously keep me in the mix of what they're talking about. I mean, the master plan is to have our own stadium, our own location down the line, our own training facility, have a non-pay-to-play academy for youth players, which that's a true academy. Right? Nobody actually really does that except for MLS teams, because
Hmm.
otherwise you have to pay to play so they can sustain the clubs. And then the other part is they want to add a women's team as well. So I like, they've got big eyes, but I don't think they're just talking. I think they are, they're really they're putting their foot on the pedal, and they're doing a great job. So just being in the Open Cup, that's one of the things that we did not plan on. And then just about a week and a half before the registration deadline, Jimmy calls up and he says, "Look, we've been asked, like NPSL is now U.S. Soccer saying we're recognizing NPSL as a legitimate league. You can enter your teams. You don't just have to be the teams that won the championship or your conferences." So we had a quick conference call, and we all got on the same page and said, "Let's do it." Even though we knew we were going to be not have more than half our own team that we had from the summer, because a lot of my guys are college guys.
Yeah.
And then we didn't know if the guys who were eligible to play with us, if they were going to be available, because a lot of them do play on other teams at other times of the year. And credit, we had 9 players who were eligible, and 8 of them unhesitantly said, "I'm in." And the 9th, I won't name his team, but he was already cup tied, and I appreciate his loyalty. And because we entered it so late, he said, "Look, I would love to, but I already gave them my word," which was not a problem for me. So 8 of our 9 available guys were with us entering the cup, and yeah, that was a good feeling. Loved it.
Yeah, oh, that's great. I mean, unfortunately, you fell to the New York Renegades 2-1, but what was that like for you to get involved with the first round of Open Cup qualifying?
Yeah, I mean, it's special because it's another first for the club. which, we've had a bunch of firsts this year. I thought that it was really good, again, to have the backing of the club behind us, but more so that we had a lot of people that said, hey, yeah, we do want to be part of this. So when we reached out to them, again, we have to go through our personal networks. Unfortunately, we didn't have a lot of time to prepare for it. And the players who we were bringing in, some of them are a little bit older. They're professionals already, and they have regular jobs. This is not a full-time paid position for them. So, we had to work around that. So really, we had 4 training sessions, and most guys made 2, some made 3. So that's the team we put on the field. A lot of individual talent went out there, and because of their experience, I feel that the game itself, the first 25 minutes or so, we were bossing the game for the most part, and they were collected. But then Renegades, they are a quality team, no doubt about it. Give them the credit, and it showed that they play together a lot more. And little by little, as the game went on, you can start to see the tide turning, which at times it's not an excuse. It is what it is. So our guys worked their butt off. They controlled the effort. A valiant effort. I'm very proud of them. And Renegades were a great opponent. So it was, for people watching, I understand. They say it was a great game. When you're not on the winning end, you don't feel it. Again, until matter of fact, I've been watching bits and pieces of the game the last few days. So I've been going back over it, try to pick out pieces of it.
I'll be honest with you. I did watch that game on YouTube as well, and I have to tell you, after that opening 45, I just said to myself, maybe we could see extra time here. I thought that your guys were doing very well defensively on the attacking end of the ball. I thought you guys were really showing them something. And I thought, hey, maybe we can get over extra time. And who knows, maybe a penalty kick shootout. But once that first shot went in, it was, what are you going to do? I mean, you can't stop that one, unfortunately.
No, that was a great shot, but it was also a little bit of individual defending. There were a few moments that led up to it. That if we were a little bit tighter, maybe that shot doesn't go. We had seven corner kicks in the first half.
Yeah.
It was crazy. And
Yeah.
so we were in their end so much that, and if it's a team that works together a lot, you figure, you tell me at halftime we would have had 7 corner kicks, I would have thought we would have converted on one. So I love it. I love that the guys bought into, we're going to press forward. We're not going to sit back. We're not looking for a tie, obviously, to try to go into overtime. We're trying to take control of the game. And for the most part we did. And then at the beginning, but yeah, I agree with you. Going into halftime, I felt very good about us. And then it wasn't long into the second half when they did score. Now that changed. We changed our formation. Then you watched the game, you saw we had to change our formation, try to get forward. That kind of hurt us for the second goal against us.
Yeah.
But we did get that goal in the 88th minute. I thought the referee did a good job, although I do think we might have got that PK. I'm not sure about that. So that might have changed things.
I have to admit, I was thinking at first it was a PK, but I'm looking for the ref, like point. And they're like, oh, didn't come. And wow. Yep. What are you gonna do? You know this game as much as I do. You hope the referee interprets everything your way.
Right.
It's a penalty. Do it. No, not coming. Not coming.
But he didn't affect. Listen, at the end of the day, he didn't affect the out. We need to do a better job. He didn't affect the outcome of the game. And by the way, that referee's been around. He does a very good job. So
I bet he does.
I'm not blaming him. Of course, I was wishing for that call at that moment. So.
No, absolutely. Look, that your job is to hope. Sometimes you get into the referee's good side, and you hope that he does give you that opportunity to level the matchup if it's in the box. But unfortunately, not. But still, though, it sounds like you had a very good year. Obviously, record-wise, not so well, but still, though, it is your first season. What are you expecting for next year? And are you going to have some of these guys that started in 2025 back for 2026?
Yes, definitely. I've already begun to speak to them. There's a good number of them. The Open Cup, what that did for us, that gave us the opportunity now to look at some other players in real match situations for us. So and to have some of them at training, as I told you. It wasn't, but you get to know players' tendencies. You see what they're like a little bit off the field. Get to know them, which is key. Because, listen, how you are off the field, you're going to carry that personality and that character onto the field. So, it was good to get to know some of them. And I will tell you that a good number of them, made a very good point for themselves to be with us for next season. So I think that's good. And I do think we're still going to see some other players come in. And if the club, is working on giving us a little bit more as far as housing and opportunities to bring some players in, I think it's good. I mean, we had a couple of players for this round from New Jersey. We had a player from Ohio. And then we have, that's where they live now. That's not just where they're from. That's where they live. So they came here for these games. And then we have obviously the New York guys. It's funny tonight getting ready for the show. I'm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've got 9 different countries are represented in our team, which I think is pretty cool. So it's nice to have that cross section, but then you get that certain type of player. Sometimes this is how they like to play and what they know. So, getting them to work together, that's the fun part, but it's also the challenge.
My only hope is the guy from Jersey crossed the GWB without any traffic so he doesn't get late for you. You know what I mean?
No, 2 guys were late. They were the guys from Jersey. You're right.
Oh, no. Come on.
They
They can't do that.
They got there before kickoff.
You got to tell them earlier.
I know.
At least leave the house by 2 to get over the bridge after 3 o'clock. Yeah. Come on.
Rookies. They're rookies, Dan. They're rookies.
They're rookies. What are you going to do? But anyway, John, I really appreciate your time. Thank you very much for joining me tonight. Good luck next season in the NPSL, and hope to talk to you again soon. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me on. Take care.
And thank you. John Fitzgerald, head coach of ASC, American Soccer Club, New York, as he, of course, unfortunately ASC New York falls to the New York Renegades by final of 2-1 in the Open Cup qualification opening round. Now, my next guest, he is the head coach for the Philadelphia Ukrainian Nationals. And if you know who they are, of course, former Open Cup champions. This is Mr. I hope I can pronounce his name correctly, Nima Mohajiri. I hope I pronounced it correctly, Nima. Are you okay tonight? And how are you?
I'm doing well, Dan. How are you doing today?
I'm doing excellent. Thank you very much for joining me. So
you got my name correct, by the way.
Good. I can keep my $10. So anyway, how was your season this year with the NPSL, and what did you learn from your players?
Yeah, so that's a great question. How was our season? So this was our 4th year. There was a lot of change in this past season. As far as how it was, I would argue and say it was actually our most successful season. This is the furthest we've been. I mean, we made it to the conference finals. We lost to Westchester, as we all are very familiar with Westchester. A team where in our area we're married to Westchester, so it's a team everybody knows across the country. And unfortunately, for better or worse, we're married to them. I know head coach Blaise Santangelo very well. For about 20-25 years, I've known him. But yeah, as far as our season goes, we were. Again, I would say this was our most successful year out of 4. First year was a very successful season for us. We had phenomenal players, Josh Jones, Zach Barrett, a lot of guys. I mean, we fell in the playoffs to FC Motown, who was the national champions that year. But yeah, I mean, it was actually an interesting experience. Like I said, we went through a lot of change as well, our team. So head coaches, early on, it was my suggestion. I was like, listen, if we want to expand and grow our MPSL program, or I'm sorry, our adult program, I should say, we need to expand because we weren't really maturing, and we weren't bringing players in. And I think that's a common problem for amateur teams across the country. So we entered MPSL, and in doing so, it really broadened and expanded our horizon. It allowed for the, as we all know, a lot of collegiate players want to go and play somewhere in the summertime. But our intent is not just, it's not a stopping ground for college players. It's supposed to be, we've developed an all year round program. That's what the Ukrainian Nationals have always been. It's an adult program. Obviously, we have our youth program as well, but again, the design and intent is for it to be like some sort of all year program. So we're going through a refresh process right now. So Coach Mike Gorney and Dan Harmon, they were with us the first 3 years. They brought in a lot of young players. They made myself and I should say Roman Chupriniak. So Roman, I'll stop right there. Roman is Ukrainian himself. He's on the board of directors with the club and the ethnic club. So he and I basically do a lot of basically run the entire adult program ourselves. But we learned a lot from Coach Gorney and Coach Harmon. I mean, they did a phenomenal job, kind of like leading the way, taking the bull by the horn, if you may. And we just sat there as assistant coaches, very quiet. We learned, and we built and developed relationships with a lot of the players. And here we are, year 4. But this year around, we really tapped into. I played at Drexel myself. I know some of the D1 coaches in the Philadelphia area. Not just the D1 coaches though. I mean, there's a lot of talent out there. D2, D3, even non-collegiate players. So really, really tapped into the Philadelphia area, even expanding into South Jersey, Delaware if we can. But yeah, I mean that just and really brought in a lot of good players. I mean, a lot of new players for the first time, and yeah, I mean I talked to the coaches at some of these collegiate coaches afterwards after our season was done, and I said, hey, listen, what's the feedback from the players? And they're like, listen, they love the camaraderie. They loved what we have offered here this past summer. So long story short, it was a very, very successful season. I mean, and hope we can develop on that.
Absolutely. And I mean, look, I just, to me, obviously, the Ukrainian nationals, as I've
Yeah.
said already, Open Cup champions in the past. I think it was a 2-time championship and
Four time.
4-time. Thank you very much
Yeah.
for correcting me. I appreciate that. 4-time Open Cup champions. I would like to think that for a college player, or at least a player in the Philadelphia area, that would be enticing enough to come to your club and try out for a position on the adult team.
Yeah, you would think so, but I mean, times have changed. I mean, I'm a lot has changed from. I mean, we're talking about like that was in the '60s, I believe, when we won the 4 U.S. Open Cups. But times have changed. I mean, players will go wherever the best path is for them. At the end of the day, for selfish reasons. I mean, we're all just in it for ourselves ultimately. For selfish reasons, players will go wherever the best path is for them. So part of it is, yeah, and our name has a history, right? The Philadelphia Ukrainian Nationals. But imagine you're some 19-year-old kid. They might not know that, right? Or 18-year-old kid. They just might not know that. I mean, it's like me asking like how many championships have the Yankees won? And right and some a younger guy, like, they may or may not know that. They might know the more recent history, and I feel like that it's all about more of the recent history than it is maybe history from like 50, 60 plus years ago. So and our objective is to ultimately reestablish that and mature that adult program, the amateur adult program as best as possible.
No,
So
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. I was thinking maybe, the next time I don't know when the United Soccer coaches, are they coming back to Philadelphia for next year or not? Or is it somewhere else?
Um. Yes. Are you talking about like
The
the
convention.
coaches?
Yeah. The U.S.
Oh yeah,
United Soccer Coaches Convention
yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So I actually, that's a really good question. I believe it's held annually in Philadelphia, if I'm not mistaken. But
Mhm.
I'm not sure, to be honest, to answer your question.
Yeah, as I was going to say, maybe the club can do is, contact the Soccer Hall of Fame and ask them to borrow the old Dewar Cup and, do a little booth or something. Say, invite players to come to the convention and say, if you want to be part of Ukraine Nationals, this is what we've done in the past. And if you join us, not only would be a part of our club, but it might help, your career in the future or something.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's an idea. I mean, I can reach out and yeah, I mean, like you said, I mean, we try to explore all different options to better our program and make the best for not just for us, but I like to give back, right? I mean, I'm not getting paid a single dollar for any of this, full disclosure. Um, so all of this is just, just volunteering and it's just a joy and a love. And one, it's ultimately to win, and that's very satisfying, and I think that's why a lot of us are in this. But at the same time, it brings a lot of happiness to me when I do see success for these young gentlemen out there and their successes. But to answer the question though, I think a lot of it is really marketing, and that's one thing we've learned. Especially being by Roman's side, um, he's a king of marketing right now. I mean, he's just constantly tapping into different networks, social medias. I mean, and that's what makes or breaks your program ultimately. You got to sell. You really, really, really got to sell. If you're not out there selling, you will not succeed. I mean, I've seen now, uh, you know, um, so like I've seen some local clubs, so some local clubs that have been around, for almost a century that they're not playing at the adult amateur level that this year, for example, like the United German Hungarians, I'm familiar, and they're actually not playing. Again, it's all about time, like time and commitment. And like I was saying earlier, times have changed. So you gotta just you have to just keep up with the times and constantly market, constantly reach out. Um, otherwise you won't succeed. We can set up a booth at a coaching convention, but that might be like this percentage of what you really need to do ultimately. And I say this to all the coaches out there. Some might be aware, some might not. And in my tenure, I've been with the Ukrainian Nationals now for 12 years. I've been doing adult amateur soccer for maybe for about 20 years, ever since I graduated from Drexel. And I've seen a lot of teams come and go. And it's and what does it come down to? It comes down to time and commitment. If you're not constantly recruiting, because look, as players we get old, right? Right. So if you're a player coach, you're just eventually going to get old, and then if you're not backfilling, then it's eventually just the cookie's gonna crumble, right? I mean, so that's pretty much my experiences on that so far.
No, absolutely. Unfortunately, Mother Nature and Father Time, they always gang up on us. So,
That that's right.
you,
That's right.
me, all of us, my friend, it's just not good.
No.
Just talk about, your side and your conference. I mean, you're playing Electric City Shock,
Yes.
Pennsylvania Classics, Hershey, and what, as you already said about Westchester United, how much of a gauntlet has this conference been for the Ukrainian nationals?
Yeah, I mean, with all due respect, I'm familiar now with outside of Westchester and Blaze. I've now gotten familiar with the other coaches as well. All great coaches. We've all built a relationship with one another. So I just wanted to say that first, and then yeah, they're a lot of them are in the same boat. With having younger collegiate type players. And in my opinion, that that's great. That's amazing. And I mean, every match is just a battle. Every match is a battle. I don't think any one of us are necessarily any better than the other team. I feel like we're all pretty much on the same level. I mean, you could tell by the scores as well. It's not like any one team is necessarily blowing out another team. And one year you might have a bad year, right? It's just you got to take care of that. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely it's definitely a fight in order to get out of the conference, and then advancing out. I mean, out of our conference. I mean, like you just see, like Westchester, they might have not just won the NPSL championship, but at the same exact time, a week later, they won the amateur cup national championship, right? So it's again, like if you're not winning this luck, a tournament, a cup, it's just like sometimes you need a little bit of luck to advance and further yourself. But I think this alludes back to one of the points I was trying to make earlier about our objective is not to make this a collegiate program. I overheard one of our players saying, "Oh, this is like a college summer league, something along the lines." And I'm like, "Listen, man, that's not what this is. If that's what is about for you, then like with all due respect, I don't think you should be playing here. But the objective is to, like, in a perfect world for me, I have like guys that are playing all year round is ultimately what I'm trying to get at. When you develop that, that's when I think you are at your best. Not when you have constantly players coming and going, coming and going. We started the season off 0-3. We couldn't. I mean, we were like trying to fit the pieces of the puzzle together in order to determine like what's the best formula here, right? I mean, you don't have any time. And all of a sudden, by the time our fourth game, before you know it, we were 3-3. It took us 4 games to figure out like the formula, right? So other teams, I'm sure, are in a very similar boat and situation in our conference. But yeah, again, ultimately, like if we keep this up, my hope and aspiration is that 3 years, 4 years from now, you develop now a core, put some players out of college, some of the local guys, and you go from there. And look, if some of them go pro, ultimately, I want all our guys to go pro. I mean, listen, play at the highest level. And I tell them that all the time. I said, listen, you play with us. It's all about exposure. And that's what I want. We go back. What makes me happy is their success. So I say, yeah, listen, you come play with us. The further you go, the more you're going to get recognized. And that to me is the most important thing. And that's what the players need to understand and realize. So to me, that's always my biggest selling point. Yeah.
No, absolutely. And hopefully there'll be some more. Unfortunately, you fell in the opening round of the Open Cup qualifications. Colonial SC, you lost 3-0. How difficult was that match for you guys?
Yeah. The match it was a difficult match when you show up with 13 players. So we had 5 guys injured. You can fill a 25-man roster, right, for Lamar Hunt Cup qualifier. So we had 5 guys injured and 5 guys were away. So 10 guys, yeah, something like that. Essentially, we were down to start. We showed up with 13 players. So you can only imagine like how far that's going to get you. And with all due respect, with Colonial, I mean they have really developed a solid program on their side at the amateur level. I know they're not in NPSL, but they're in our local league here, the United Soccer League of Pennsylvania, and they've really done a good job of developing the program. So it's everything is hindsight 2020. Like if it was another weekend, I'm sure we would have had a better showing. But the only unfortunate thing is for this tournament, you lose and you're out. You have to wait another year. Unless we have some success with NPSL, we get a qualifier through NPSL. But yeah, for me, it was a little saddening. You put a lot of effort and work in. Furthermore, this goes back to the whole having players around all year round. We just lost like all of our players in our NPSL program. Like most of them went back. I mean, it's so funny. So the same exact time our game kicked off, Drexel University versus LaSalle University. I have 5 guys on PSL Drexel, 4 guys on LaSalle. I go to them like, listen, can the 9 of you guys come play in my game? And we got a kick out of that. Those are top players we have, right? So it's tough. It's tough. I mean, you got a team. We have a team. We have a solid team, but a great group of guys right now. But it just doesn't help when you're entering a game and with injuries and unavailabilities, right? So
yeah.
And again, with all due respect, Colonial is a good side. It's tough. It's tough. I mean, we could have drew with a much weaker team and kind of like scrapped out of that. So I mean, I watched some of the results from other local teams around here, And I'm like, man, I wish, I'm not going to name any names, but, I'm like, oh man, I wish I drew with that team over there. I could have showed up with 10 players, and it's all about advancing, and then that perfect formula. Once you have that tough match, you have your players show up. But if they're not there, then your results are not going to come.
No, of course. And that's always the problem when you're behind the eight ball as soon as the match gets started, unfortunately. But we expect them for next season, though, in NPSL. What are you hoping for with Ukrainian nationals?
I actually, because this goes back to what I was saying earlier. We started 0-3. By the end of the season, we figured it out. If we can continue that, and now we've essentially figured out the entire roster at this point, right? Like I said, we had to go through a whole roster revamping of from year 3 to year 4, especially with the change of coaches and stuff like that. So it was almost like a whole new, imagine you watch professional sports team, a new coaches come in, and all of a sudden, like, the entire roster, everything changes, right? So it was exactly that. So as long as we have 95% of the same returning players, and then in addition to our existing players that are playing right now with us, I expect us to have a better record than we did last year. And then with like what you said, the gauntlet of teams in our conference, it'll always be a challenge, but I'm not worried about them so much as I am worried about us, and I do think that we will be better. The players now know each other. A lot of the guys were playing together for the first time, and so I this year, this past season, I didn't have any expectations. And I typically don't like to have set expectations, but for next year, I have a little higher expectations for next season. So I kept saying after our season ended, we showed up to the conference final versus Westchester with again short numbers, unavailability, this, that, et cetera, et cetera. I don't want to make any excuses, but I said if we took our best 18 all the way from, if we had it figured out from start to finish, I really think we could have went on a deep run. I really do, and I'm not trying to be biased about that, but I really think we could have been on a deep run there.
Go ahead, be biased. I don't care.
Listen, maybe next year, right? Let's see what happens next year.
Yeah.
I'm excited though.
Great. I'm very happy to hear that. Nima, I really appreciate your time. Thank you very much for joining me tonight. Good luck next season, and hopefully you'll be past the conference final.
That's right. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Thank you for joining me tonight. That is Mr. Nima Mahajiri from the Ukrainian Nationals of Philadelphia, as we have a fun time here on the NPSL Soccer Show. And once again, this was a great show tonight, and we will see what happens. We'll, if not have any other surprise shows, we'll have another show for you sometime next season when we get ready to see who will qualify out in the Open Cup qualifiers that are still part of NPSL. Unfortunately, Philadelphia Ukrainian Nationals and American Soccer Club New York are out after the first round. We'll see what happens in the next round. But I want to thank my guests tonight. Once again, I just want to thank Jason Brown from the NPSL Regional League. I also want to thank John Fitzgerald from the American Soccer Club New York side, and now with Nima Mahajiri from the Philadelphia Ukrainian Nationals. My name is Daniel Feuerstein. A little programming note here. No show on Monday or Tuesday. It will be on Wednesday night, and on Thursday night will be the U.S. Open Cup semifinal review show, and it should be a lot of fun there. Once again, my name is Daniel Feuerstein. Thank you very much for watching me tonight. This has been the National Premier Soccer League show on the Feuerstein's Fire American Soccer Show. We will talk to you next time. Take care. So long. Bye-bye for now. And as always, please, 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 please enjoy your football. Bye-bye for now.